reached the nightcap of the Little League World Series in the Westfield Regional opening round. Standing room only tonight at Grand Park. Border War, New Albany, Indiana, and the state champions from Kentucky. Great Lakes region has already seen one game in the book, and that was one-sided. Hamilton, Ohio, with 13 runs in the fourth inning, defeating Wausau, Wisconsin, 23-4. Jim Barber and John Gregory, stranger than truth. New Albany in 6 wins in the state final, scored 100 runs, 31 of those on home runs. What has Kentucky got itself into for tonight?
Well, I know these fans on both sides are excited about this one. They're already chirping at each other and getting ready to go after this today. But for Lexington, a team that's making their first appearance here in a while, New Albany on the other side have been here quite a bit and a lot of experience. So it should be a pretty interesting matchup.
Yeah, I think so. It could be a lot of excitement. Let's get to the Little League rules and regulations. There are several. As you know, Little League is a division of Little League International. 6 teams in each regional, modified double elimination, ages 10 to 13. 6-inning game, unless we go extras, 2/3 conventional field size. Kentucky came by bus from Lexington, roughly 2.5 hours away. New Albany, about 2 hours, and there's not a seat to be found. Indiana, Kentucky, need we say more? Well, he wears number 32. He's a right-handed pitcher. His name is Ty Bryant, and he draws the opening assignment for the Kentucky state champions. Got a good fastball, lively at 70+ miles per hour. Can throw the curve and change. He's a tall kid out there at 5'10", John, and 148, and he's a big fan of the Giants' Odell Beckham Jr., who has been known for a few highlights of his own.
Yeah, this guy is listed as an athlete here, and his ability to throw the ball pretty hard. You can see the size that he has at 5'10" out there. Pretty intimidating, but don't be surprised. This New Albany, Indiana offense, they're pretty good. Don't be surprised if you see the ball turned around quite a bit, but good pitching stops good hitting a lot of time. We'll see if he can do it today against a team that's really hot coming into this game.
Casey Kalen, by the way, John, will lead off. He was 3 for 5 in the championship win over Wabash. He had 3 runs batted in. Philip Gill bats second. Grant Borden third. Davis Krebs is fourth. Tommy Devine, white hot hitting right now with 7 home runs in the state finals. He bats fifth, and Landon Teesing, starting pitcher for Indiana, is 6th. Dylan Toller, the coach's son, is 7th. Gavin Hamilton bats 8th, and the right fielder rounding out the lineup is Nathan Julius. It'll be a lively house tonight, because folks decked out in blue representing Kentucky and those in red for Indiana. You mentioned in our opening they've been at each other already. Pleasantly, we assume.
Yes,
but,
yes, always.
Overcast sky, still a great night for baseball. The wind was blowing out. It has now died down, and we are underway. And the beauty of this game, because of the fan support, they'll be roaring on every pitch.
Yeah. You know, said chirping back and forth. That didn't mean a bad thing as far as chirping goes. It was like when one said something, the other got a little bit louder, and it just seemed to get that. They weren't going to let them get the best of them.
1-1 pitch. Kalen, a great student, very patient at the plate, polite kid too. In fact, his manager, Jason Toller, says he might be the most polite guy he's ever met.
And he says, and I'm a middle school principal. So that's going a long way.
Yeah. A quarter in junior high. He's had on the count 3-1. And here's Bryant's pitch. And a good start to the Indiana first. The energetic and super fast Philip Gill now steps to the plate, batting in the 2 spot. He is the catcher for the Indiana All-Stars. And Gill in the state finals, equally as good as Kalen. He was 3 for 6, scored 4 times, and batted in 2. Favorite actors, The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, towards center field. Caught. First had to go back, and as he did, Braxton able to haul it in, 1 out.
Well, this is our first night game, or going into the night, wondering how the ball carries. We saw Ohio hit a few balls out of the ballpark the game before this, but a little bit later now, we'll see if it carries. We didn't see home runs earlier today, but we certainly saw them in the third game.
First game today in the Midwest Regional. Won by Nebraska over Iowa 3-2. Then in the second game, a shutout for the Dakota team over Kansas 9-0. Count a ball and a strike. Check that, 2 balls, no strikes. And then the third game just got away from Wisconsin, in which Ohio put 13 on the board in the fourth and shortened the game 22-4. Bryant behind for the second time, facing Grant Borden. 2-1. Jordan Leslie behind home plate. Prince Lowe is the first base umpire. Phil King at second. Hans Lodge is the third base umpire, and replay is in effect. Bryant from the stretch, 2-1. Defended well by the catcher Graham Johnson, prevent the runner from moving on, but the count is 3-1. Cleanup hitter Davis Krebs would be next. He had a monster state championship game. Strike called, full count. Bryant looks like he can still grow another 5 or 6 inches, and boy, he'll be intimidating if he continues in his baseball career with that size. On the bounce towards short. Over to second for 1, to first, safe. Borden able to get in ahead of the throw. So there are 2 outs off the fielder's choice for Davis Krebs.
Got to hustle down the line. Pretty strong defense behind you. Johnson starts it over to the Graff, and close play at first base, but Borden able to beat it out.
Davis Krebs was 5 of 6, scored 4 times against the Wabash Little League All-Stars, and had 3 runs batted in. That game, by the way, and we're going to refer to it a lot because it's most unusual, was 4-3, John, going into the fourth. That's semi-normal, right?
Yeah.
And then it enters the twilight zone and winds up 26-21. Ooh, and a hit batsman. And so now Indiana has 2 aboard with 2 outs. And here comes Thomas Devine, who's had a Devine State Finals with 7 home runs in his last 6 games. This is danger here for Kentucky. In that state title game, he was 5 of 6, 3 home runs, and 9 runs batted in. I've never heard of anything like that.
That's a heck of a day right there, I tell you.
So Bryant's in a spot, but only needs 1 out to get out of it. Grant Borden, the runner at second. Davis Krebs at first. Scoring opportunity for the Indiana Stars. Bryant deals. And Graham Johnson very active behind home plate.
He's got to be right now. A couple balls in the dirt from Bryant there. He's backhanded a few, been fortunate that ball hasn't gotten by and allowed runners to get to third.
That's his 17th pitch of the inning, a called strike 2-1. Checking a ball and 2 strikes. And he's a strike away from getting through the first. The long look and to the stretch and the pitch. 2-2, runner heads from second to third with no problem. So Grant Borden now at third base. Davis Krebs remains at first. The count is 2 balls, 2 strikes, and there are 2 outs. Inning over. Nice job by Ty Bryant to get out of the first. Kentucky with its top order coming up in a 0-0 game between Indiana and Kentucky. Here we go to the bottom of the first for Kentucky after Indiana threatens but fails to score, leaving 2 aboard. Landon Teasing, who likes the big stage, says his manager Jason Toller, gets the opening night assignment. The right-handed pitcher wears 22. Ready to throw at 5'7", 150 pounds, admirer of 42, Jackie Robinson.
Pretty good guy to admire right there, and Teasing's that big moment guy, and that's why they want him starting in this particular game 1 on the mound. A guy that's been there before and a guy they can trust to throw strikes out there.
Brady Johnson will do the leading off for Kentucky. He's a high IQ guy, and you'd like to have that type of hitter in that spot. Johnson's not particularly a big kid, but very lethal with the bat. He'll be followed by the pitcher Ty Bryant, Max DeGraff, then Harrison Tybe. Joey Howard's in the 5-hole. Graham Johnson hits 6th. The right fielder Leighton Harris is 7th. Brady Robeson, the left fielder, is 8th. And Braxton Burst, who had a big putout in the top of the first, will bat 9th. So it's a left-handed hitter to begin in Johnson.
You know, this Grady Johnson looks a lot like Graham Johnson behind home plate.
He does.
Doesn't he?
How about an identical twin? Oh, you're setting me up there. I took good notes. The manager, Jeff Gannett, says the only way I can tell them apart is that one is growing his hair longer than the other. That's a look at Gannett, who mans the third base spot. Marty DeGraff is the first base coach, and Tom Robeson for Kentucky serves as the bench coach. Little League World Series, 140 Little League games along with softball on the ESPN networks over the months of July and now August. Two balls and a strike. Teasing has a lively fastball. Also can throw a change and a curve. And he evens the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Doesn't have a knuckler, as we've seen with some of the pitchers so far in the first 3 games.
A lot of these young kids out here throwing a knuckleball versus maybe a curveball to take some of the stress off of their arm, and you don't see a whole lot of knuckle or a whole lot of action on it, but you do see a change of pace, and that's as good as a changeup at times.
Yeah, maybe about 20 miles an hour difference. 3 balls, 2 strikes, and Kentucky's leadoff hitter Grady Johnson. Towards second base. Handled by Krebs, 1 out. That'll bring in the pitcher Ty Bryant. Did a nice job of squeezing out of the first inning, in which Indiana had 2 men aboard. On the change, Bryant toward right field. Dropping in, base hit, he'll try to stretch it. Save for the double. Good hustle by Bryant.
Well, he didn't loaf coming out of the box, that's for sure. A lazy fly ball to right field. You can see the right fielder, second baseman kind of looking at each other here. Who's going to take it? You take it. And Bryant, good speed, easily gets to second base, but he got there easy because he came out of the box running hard, thinking if that falls, I need to be on second base.
Yeah, it's good baseball awareness, certainly, and he got some help from the first base coach, Marty DeGraff, indicating that taking second base was a good idea. Here comes Marty's son, Max DeGraff. Quiet and steady player. Towards center field, caught on a line drive. On the play by Devine, Tommy hauls it in. There are 2 outs. And the runner has to stay put. That was hit hard.
Yeah, that wasn't very quiet there. Maybe a quiet kid, but boy, he lit that one up as he drove it to center field, right at the center fielder for the out.
This has the feel of a high-tension game that every man on base could be significant. Here's Harrison Tybe trying to put his team ahead in the first inning. Major League is his favorite, but it's one of my favorites too. Just a little bit outside. Remember Bob Uecker?
Oh yeah. Good time.
Ball and a strike with 2 outs here in the first. Kentucky threatening. Tybe takes a strike. 1-2. Inning over. Landon Teasing works out of a jam. Both teams effective when they needed to be. After 1, Indiana nothing, Kentucky nothing. Top of the second inning. Both teams had runners in scoring position, failed to score. Albany Little League, 3rd Great Lakes appearance in the last 4 years. Just minus the year 2016, which was last year. But this New Albany team, as 11-year-olds, won a state title. A lot of these kids have played on back-to-back-to-back state champions, ages 10, 11, and 12. So big stage, big results. Landon Teasing, the pitcher, starts the inning for Indiana in the second. Dylan Toller, Gavin Hamilton to follow.
Something to be said about 9 guys on a team playing together since they were the age of 7, huh?
Yes. And winning. Good fastball, 1-1. Brian working quickly. And will work from the stretch. Ended the inning by striking out the dangerous Tommy Devine with 2 men aboard. Starts the second inning with a strikeout as well. Hitting in the 7th spot, the first baseman Dylan Toller to come to the plate.
Take a look at the location. This is up in the zone here. Got to remain calm. Your first at bat in the regional, you get a little excited. Although this team has experience, as you mentioned before, winning state championships at 9, 10, 11. They know they're one step away from the biggest stage that they have a chance to go to, is the Little League World Series. So,
oh yes,
some nerves early. Sometimes you get a little anxious at the plate. Sometimes you try to overthrow a little on the mound. But these two teams have won throughout their careers, so they know how to handle a lot of the pressure.
The manager's son, Dylan Toller, is at the plate, left-handed swinger. And is ahead on the count, 2 balls, no strikes. 6, 7, and 8 positions, batting here in the second.
You always ask the coaches before the ball game, give us a little something on some of the kids and all that. And Jason Toller, as a principal at a middle school, and all the first thing he said about kids are good student.
I guess he'd know, right?
Oh yeah. And then he gave us a little bit something about baseball, so you can see what he brings to this team. And he may be going home tomorrow to go back to school if they unfortunately come out as a loser today. If they win, he'll be back here tomorrow.
Now, by the way, Toller's the third base coach. Jay Teasing coaches at first, and Alan Krebs is the bench coach. And you're right, a win moves them to tomorrow's action in the winner's bracket. And that means New Albany gets to stick around, and manager Toller does not have to go back to school.
No, but if they lose, he has to go back and think about it. Can you imagine that? He said, but I've got other kids I've got to help. And that's a great, great pride in his job right there.
Sure. On the hop towards second base. 2 outs. Handled easily by DeGraff. Bring up Gavin Hamilton. So Dylan Toller, the left fielder, is out. And the first baseman, Gavin Hamilton, steps to the plate. But you know, when we were talking to Jason Toller, As much as he enjoys working with kids and helping out the high school, junior high, he also looked toward the heavens with his hands folded together about, I wouldn't mind a win either. Ty Bryant throws hard. And I like the fact that he works quickly.
Sometimes he'll work directly out of the stretch, like he is right now. Other times he'll kind of start a windup and almost go into a stretch position.
Looks like he's just more comfortable with a stretch, I think.
Yeah. And that's okay. There's a lot of pitchers in the major leagues that'll throw from the stretch.
Well, that was outside, but you can't convince the Kentucky fans it wasn't closer than that.
No, and that one wasn't really close, and they still wanted it.
Yep. They're already working the umpires. 2-2 with 2 outs in the second, scoreless game. 2 strikeouts for Bryant in the second, now 3 for the game. Indiana up and down in order. For Kentucky, middle of the lineup in the bottom of the second. Indiana nothing, Kentucky nothing. Indiana out in order in the second. Scoreless game to the bottom of the second we go. 3 of the teams in the Great Lakes region are making their first ever appearances. And these programs include Lexington Eastern Little League, you're watching right now, Wisconsin, which lost earlier, and Hinsdale Little League out of Illinois, which will play tomorrow. Joey Howard set the lead off. Huge contingent of Lexington fans who boarded the bus and got to the seats right after Game 3 had concluded.
Pretty amazing that no team from Lexington has been to the Little League World Series since 1978.
Board on 1 hop to short. Borden over the first, 1 out. So Grant Borden took it on 1 bounce, and Joey Howard is retired.
Not an easy play for Borden here. This ball kind of came up on him and kind of handcuffed him, able to get it and make a nice throw in time over to the big first baseman Hamilton, who easily takes it in.
Here comes Graham Johnson to the plate. Batting in the 6th hole, he's the catcher. And again, the identical twin of the team's leadoff hitter, Grady Johnson. Behind 2 strikes. So as a catcher, is it good form to hold the ball just a tick when it's close or not?
That's been the debate today. I don't think you want to do that often.
This toward right center field's going to drop. Johnson around first, streaking into second, stand-up double. Second 2-base hit of the game for the Kentucky All-Stars.
Another pitch to me looked up in the zone. Let's see if this is up and away. And it was, and he just kind of tomahawked it out there to right center field. Wind blowing out. You can see that flag. We still got a little bit of a wind heading out toward right center field. And he able to get himself into scoring position, second base with that double.
Bringing up Leighton Harris. Fouls that one back. Harris, the right fielder, batting in the 7th position. The only 11-year-old on this Kentucky team, and the wind is starting to pick up a bit as you see fans now huddled around the left field and center field walls outside the playing area. At the previous host of the regional tournaments, the Central Indiana regional tournaments, fans were able to basically set up shop in those outfield sections. It's not the case here because of the wall and the fence that are beyond, but because of the size of the crowd tonight, that might be the only available seating.
Yeah. A lot of these fans, we mentioned this new Albany team being together for a long time, as you see the strikeout there on Harris. A lot of these Lexington fans have been together for a long time too. These kids have been together since they were 5, 6, and 7 years old. So two teams that may not have a lot of experience playing against each other, but certainly together these teams have been for a long time.
Brady Roberson trying to save the inning for Kentucky with the lead runner at second base after the one-out double by Graham Johnson. Roberson hitting in the 8th position. Strike one. Unseasonably cool. Temperatures usually in the low 80s. And if we top 70 today, it'd be a surprise.
Nice night for a light jacket, right?
Oh, yeah. Good baseball weather, though. And a good block by the catcher, Philip Gill. Ball and a strike with 2 outs. Indiana nothing, Kentucky nothing. Toward left field, hit deep. Into the gap, off the wall. Kentucky will strike first. And it's a stand-up double, or a sliding double rather, for Roberson. The 3rd extra base hit of the game for Lexington.
Yes, sir. And that's for Brady Roberson. Now, Brady Roberson, his coach said, yes, sir. That's all he ever says. So, Coach May said, hey, hit a double over the left fielder's head. And he said, yes, sir, and able to deliver there. And the first run on the board goes to Kentucky.
That'll bring the 9th hitter in the Kentucky lineup, Braxton Burse, to the plate. Beebe, who has really good speed. Takes a fastball for a strike. Toward third base, fair ball. Now back to second to get the runner, not in time. So it's an infield hit for Braxton Burse. The Kentucky inning continues, and we turn the lineup around to the leadoff hitter, Grady Johnson. It's good play by the third baseman in this case to not throw the ball and perhaps risk the possibility of an overthrow.
I agree with you 100%. Sometimes the best play is to just stick it in your back pocket and do nothing with it.
A.C. Kalin is the third baseman. Back to the top of the lineup. And Grady Johnson, who grounded out second to first.
Jim, you get the feeling that both of these pitchers, when they get into a situation with runners in scoring position, they actually throw a little bit harder. They kind of bear down a little bit more, and they've been able to get a few big strikeouts.
We've got to find out what Mom's deconstructed lasagna is. Well, we're here for a while the next few days, so this one gets away. Runners moving. Now it's second and third. Bobby scored a wild pitch, I think. So big spot for Kentucky and a chance to play a couple more here. The pitch to Johnson. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Well, what is teasing throw on 2-2 with runners at second and third, John?
I think you got a good fastball. You have to go right after him here and challenge him with that fastball.
Teasing will work for the windup. Got the big out. Kentucky strands 2, but strikes first. After 2, Kentucky 1, Indiana nothing.
I think when you're playing the regular season and trying to make the All-Star team, and then you see the All-Star games, Little League World Series on TV, and you know that whole feeling of excitement just starts. It kind of originates there when you're, 8, 9, 10 years old, and that dream of being in the big league starts, and that's really where it takes root, I think, in the game. And honestly, it's probably one of the best times because the competition is just for fun, and all you're doing is out there having a good time.
Samardzija, who says it well, that the game is just fun at this point. Played some college football at Notre Dame. He's pitch for the Cubs, the White Sox, now the Giants. Top of the third, Indiana to the bottom of the lineup, and it's right fielder Nathan Julius to try to get it started, trailing 1-0. By the way, deconstructed lasagna, among other things, is all the cheesy goodness of lasagna without the fussy layering.
Yeah.
Or at least that's what I read so far. I can give you the ingredients. It begins with lasagna, kosher salt, garlic, crushed tomatoes. We'll get back to it later, but you get the idea. It's different.
How is it lasagna if it's not layered?
I don't know. Could be a good question for the Food Network. Ty Bryant, his third inning of work, has a count of 2-1 on leadoff hitter Julius. Then back to the top of the lineup in Casey Kalin. And this will be pitch number 40 for Ty Bryant.
Bryant did a nice thing there. It seemed to be working a little bit quick through a couple balls, so he backed off the mound, stood behind there, took a deep breath.
And now runs the count full. Indiana, which scored 100 runs in 6 games, did not lose in the Indiana State Tournament in Wabash. Hit 8 home runs in the title game. Starting off the top of the third with a base on balls. Second time that's happened for Indiana with its leadoff hitter. And here's Casey Kalin, who walked to start the game. Double play ball to short. Out at second and out at first. Johnson to the Graff to tie him. 6-4-3.
Great start here by Johnson to the Graff. We've said it a couple times, and boy, that was a close play at first base and got the double play.
That could be a challenging play here, a challengeable play anyway. But we're going to move on. Strike one as Gill reaches outside the zone to try to bunt his way aboard.
Jason Toller and Jay Teasing were looking at each other. They were wondering if they should do it or not, but elected not to in the double play stands. That was well done defensively to get that thing turned over.
Bryant blows it by Gill, 0-2. Grant Borden would hit next if the inning is extended. And Bryant, like most good pitchers, wastes the pitch on 0-2. Gill hit it well in the first, but flied out on a bullet to center field. Bounce toward first, that'll go unassisted. Leadoff walk is wasted. After 2.5, it remains Kentucky 1, Indiana 0. Manager Jeff Ganann's Kentucky team leads 1-0. Kentucky and Lexington. Lexington, population of 318,000. Largest city in Kentucky. Famous face, actor George Clooney. Actress Ashley Judd is not from Lexington, but is a big University of Kentucky basketball fan. Could be seen at Rupp Arena on occasion. Just wondering out loud and out of the box, now that Archie Miller is the coach at Indiana, if maybe Indiana and Kentucky will get together for basketball again on a regular basis. Strike call on Ty Bryant.
Should be the case.
Yeah, I agree. Ball and a strike with Kentucky had 1-0 last of the third.
You mentioned University of Kentucky, and University of Kentucky baseball coach Nick Mangione stopped by to visit with the team, and he said if they end up going to the World Series, that he's going to come visit them up there. And he's really got that UK baseball program ignited in first year, last year. A lot of motivation coming from that guy, and you can see it building in that program. A lot of dollars going into facilities in Lexington to ramp up that baseball field. It's a it's a facilities war between them and Louisville.
Well, it's good to see, because the SEC so competitive in college baseball. Ty Bryant, who doubled in the first, left stranded, has worked the count to 3-2.
You know, that's nice. You know, you get a coach like that at a college, comes down and visits these young guys, and you never know. When time to come to recruit them in a few years, you may get them.
Teasing took a lot off that pitch, and Bryant still went after it and struck out, 1 out.
Certainly did. He really fooled him that time with a breaking ball. I think he's thinking fastball here. And nice breaking ball away, and he tries to reach for it. He can't come close to touching that one.
Max DeGraff now steps up to the plate to face Landon Teasing. Teasing in the game so far has 4 strikeouts. Ball and a strike. Whoever wins the Great Lakes region, and ditto that for the Midwest, will get a chance to meet up with major league players from the Cardinals and the Pirates in Williamsport. Kind of play a little bit of an exhibition, and then at the same time get a chance to visit with the Little League stars. 1-1 pitch. A ball and 2 strikes.
You know, I don't care. If you're a big leaguer and you're going to go to the Little League World Series, I think that's important for them, too. I think they're excited about that.
Agreed.
You know, to have a chance to kind of go back and bring back memories, kind of like Samardzija was talking about.
Base hit center field. DeGraff hit it well. He's on board with a man out in the third, and now 3 consecutive innings in which Kentucky has put a man on base after the first one was retired. It's already the 5th hit of the game for the Kentucky Stars. And here's another look.
Just drives it up the middle. Good hitting ball club. And, you know, I look forward to this matchup every year. It seems like it's always a good matchup. You're talking Kentucky, Indiana from this baseball perspective here in this regional. It's a matchup I certainly love to call and see. Good pitching, good defense.
And based on the crowd support, I mean, it's
it's fun.
It's an electric atmosphere here. Tybe, a fan of Red Sox pitcher David Price. He's trying to get his act together physically and emotionally in Boston, which is a tough place to play.
Just when things are going well for him again, and more elbow problems. Little spat with Dennis Eckersley.
Yeah. Pretty nasty one at that, depending on who you talk to.
Yeah, you got to get over that and do what's best for the team. They're trying to do that, and they're professionals. They will.
5-pitch walk to Tybe for Kentucky in the last of the third. Runners now at first and second. Well, the Lexington club is threatening each of the 3 innings. So far, leaving on base 3. Caleb Wombles will be the pinch hitter, hitting for Joey Howard. And according to manager Jeff Gannan, does a nice job of getting on base. So DeGraff, Max is the runner at second. Harrison Tybe, base runner at first, will man out in the last of the third. Strike 1. Womble's favorite actor, the comedic Kevin Hart.
Good choice.
Yeah.
Get a kick out of him myself.
Funny guy. Kentucky out hitting Indiana 5-0 in this game and leading 1-0. A ball and 2 strikes.
Wombles wants to find a way somehow to make some contact here and put some pressure on this Indiana defense. Runners on first and second. You just want to put something in play and see if you can't make something happen at the plate.
Third, short, and second back at double play depth. Back to the pitcher. Only play first base. 2 outs, runners in scoring position at second and third. Scheduled hitter is Graham Johnson, the catcher.
Well, he put it in play, but probably the best place Indiana could ever have it, right back to the mound where Teasing makes an easy play in the throw to first base, but the runners move over to third. Now a pass ball gives you an opportunity to possibly score a run.
You think he had a chance at third base?
I don't think so. I think it's the smart play to get the out at first.
Graham Johnson doubled in the second and scored. And it'll be up to the catcher Philip Gill to make sure that nothing gets past him, or Kentucky will increase its lead. Big moment in the game in the bottom of the third. A ball and a strike. Headed towards second base, should get him out of the inning. Kentucky is left on 5, left man 5 on base through 3 innings. Halfway through our final game of the first day, 1-0 Kentucky over Indiana. We start the 4th inning with Kentucky leading Indiana 1-0. New Albany has a population of 36,400. Located just shy of Louisville, Kentucky. Famous face Fuzzy Zeller won the Masters in 1979, almost 4 decades ago. Middle of the lineup for Indiana in the 4th, Grant Borden, Davis Krebs, and Tommy Devine. These are the guys who were lethal in that championship game against Wabash. And they need to find a way to solve Ty Bryant, who has no hit them so far. Indiana's best scoring opportunity in the first, putting 2 aboard with 2 outs, failing to score, however. Grant Borden, who shows really good balance at home plate, waves at that one, a ball and a strike. Got an older brother, Kenny, part of activity at Providence High School. Down a ball and 2 strikes. Ty Bryant has walked 2, struck out 3 so far. Trying to finish off the leadoff hitter in the 4th.
There was a look at Bryant that time where he actually started in the windup position. Or this is a different look here as he kind of opens up to home plate, then goes to the stretch.
Towards center field. Caught. Nice running catch by Braxton Burris, 1 out. John, he covered some ground out there.
Certainly did. Had to go a long way to make the catch, and nice smile on his face as he knows he came up with a nice play out there in center field.
This is a good Kentucky defending team. Already turned a double play. Burris makes a nice running catch there. And so far in this game, without an error. Now, what a contrast for Indiana, which put 26 runs on the board in its last game, and today has been shut out without a hit.
All the way through that state tournament, even versus Ireland, they scored 16 runs. In Brownsburg, they scored 14 runs in that ball game. So, said earlier, good pitching will stop good hitting a lot of times, even at this level. It does in the major leagues. And No change here at the Little League level.
Think about it. There aren't many sports or many championships. Maybe Alabama-Clemson was an exception. A couple of years ago, 45-40 was the title game. Usually defense is the determining factor. Two balls, two strikes on Krebs, who reached in the first. Gets a comebacker. 2 outs.
This team really, by the look on their face, they're really enjoying themselves. Of course, having a 1-0 lead helps a little bit here, but this ball back to Bryant. He makes a nice play on it. Little smile, gathers the infield on the mound for a little huddle and a little smile. High five.
Now this is Indiana's most dangerous hitter with the wind blowing out. Tommy Devine, who clocked 7 home runs in the team's 31, and that 6-0 run through the state tournament. Back to the pitcher. Bryant with 2 assists in the 4th inning. 1-2-3 for Indiana, nothing across. After 3.5, it's Kentucky 1 and Indiana nothing. The league, big dreams. Might remember some of these people like Austin Dillon, NASCAR Infinity champion Tony Hawk, the X Games 16-time medalist Chris Jury, playing for the New York Rangers. Pierre Turgeon spent almost 2 decades in the National Hockey League, and some guy named Phil Mickelson. What's he ever done? Well, 5-time major champion. These are all former Little Leaguers. And so, as we mentioned, Mr. Mickelson, one of the great admirers of him is the leadoff hitter in the Kentucky 4th, Leighton Harris. Check that. Chase Rose is coming up.
And all of them went on to profession something else. You know, it's play them all. When you're this young, enjoy it all. You never know what direction the life's going to take you.
I love that smile by Ty Bryant when the top of the 4th ended. I mean, he's having a ball out there and thanking his teammates and hugging them as he runs off with Kentucky.
Jeff Gannett said about his team, you know, anytime you get a group of 12-year-old kids to give up their entire summer for a common goal, it's a really cool thing to watch. And
yeah,
it's a cool thing to watch this team right now, the way they're playing and playing together as a team.
It's now Indiana's job to keep this at a 1-0 game, because that run is huge. A second run may be insurmountable, the way Ty Bryant and that Kentucky defense behind him is working. And Landon Teasing, well, he hasn't pitched poorly for Indiana. He has allowed 5 hits but just 1 run, and he's danced out of scoring situations for the Lexington All-Stars in each of the 3 innings. Closing in on 60 pitches.
Just like the big leaguers, cover their mouth, have a conversation, cover it with the glove. Don't let anybody get your secrets.
Sure.
Coach said that Gill behind home plate, Philip Gill, always has a smile on his face. I've seen nothing but intensity.
Well, it's a big game. Opening round. Out on strikes is Rose, 1 out. And for Teasing, he now has a strikeout in every inning. 5 for the game. Dylan Gannon will step to the plate. Pinch hitting for Brady Robeson. Now, Dad, the manager, says about Dylan, loves to fish. Says someday he wants to host his own fishing show. And he actually caught an 8-foot bass.
8 pounds.
I say 8 foot. That would be something. 8 pounds, you're correct. He's ahead 2 balls and no strikes. Hey, this is my 4th game of the day. Yours as well, of
I'm
course.
here for you.
Win or tie, right?
Well,
Gannon takes a strike, 2 and 1. He would be followed by Braxton Burse, although both teams are getting in their bench right now to satisfy Major League or Minor League World Series requirements by Little League. Gannon swings at a high fastball. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out, bottom of the 4th. Each team with 13-man rosters must have everybody bat and everybody play defensively. So look at the crowd, which settled in about a half hour prior to the game. And Gannon reaches base with 1 out. So Burse will not bat. Manager Gannon will go to the scores table.
3 entering for 12, and I got 14 for 1 hitting.
And Will Kessinger will get a chance to hit. So all 4 Kentucky substitutes have been used. A significant insurance run at first base for Kentucky with 1 out in the 4th as the sun shines through. For I believe the first time all day today, John.
it's as bright as it's been. That's going to be a tough sun, I think, for first baseman. A little bit later, ground balls to shortstop in that area possibly, or second base. Maybe difficult to handle over there at the first base bag. Throws over from that area are going to be tough to handle possibly.
We'll see a lot of the sun tomorrow as we start our coverage 10 Eastern, 9 Central. Ball and 2 strikes with a man out here in the 4th. Teasing with a pitch. 2 outs. Now 6 strikeouts for the game. Back to the top of the order, and Grady Johnson.
What a nice breaking ball by Teasing. Keeping it away from these right-handed hitters and getting them to chase that thing outside is a big sweeping deuce.
John, looking ahead to the Indiana 6, the pitcher Teasing is scheduled to lead off. It would be position 6, 7, and 8 to bat for manager Jason Toller and the team from New Albany, Indiana. Oh, what a contrast from the Ohio-Wisconsin game we had prior to this one, in which Ohio scored 13 in an inning and won 22-4.
You're right, really good pitching. A lot of walks in that ball game. Kansas 8 walks for Wisconsin, I'm sorry. We saw Kansas give up 8 against South Dakota. They were able to put up 9 runs. That's in the Midwest region.
Down for Grady Johnson has reached 3-1. He's a pitch away from drawing his first walk of the game. And now a good change. Umpire Jordan Leslie signals strike, 3-2. Landon Teasing strikes out the side. Kentucky leaves 1 after 4. It remains a terrific game. Kentucky 1, Indiana nothing. Indiana still without a hit as we enter the 5th. Here's the reason why. Grady Johnson is short, turns a 6-4-3 double play. Braxton Burrs in center field, covers a lot of ground, got a good jump on this line drive. And then the pitcher Ty Bryant did it not once but twice on comebackers in the last inning. And that's why right now Indiana's down to its last 6 outs and still without a base hit. Landon Teesing will lead off the 5th inning. Kentucky fans are standing. The Indiana fans would like to see a rally. Bryant so far in the game has 3 strikeouts, but has not registered a strikeout since the 2nd inning. Not that that matters, the way things are going.
Best thing could happen for him are those ground balls back to the mound. 1 pitch, get out of there.
Well, he's long and lean and has great length.
Yep.
and it's hard to shoot one past him.
Right, he's used it to his advantage a couple times.
2-0 pitch. And you know the take sign will be on here at 3-0. Maybe 2 pitches in a row for Landon Teesing. Representing the potential tying run. He's aboard.
Really good patience at the plate that time for Teesing. He's a guy that can take it out of the ballpark, and sometimes you get a little anxious up there, but he knows how important. That's good team play right there, taking that walk and getting a guy on base. You know you need a run to tie this thing up.
Bishop Letson will pinch hit, considered to be the best motivational speaker on the team, maybe the only motivational speaker. Bigger question right now for manager Jason Toller is, will you have Letson bunt and try to put that tying run into a scoring spot?
Yeah, they're going to talk about it right now. Wouldn't surprise me if he did. Right now, this Kentucky team playing back at first base and Howard down at the 3rd base line, pretty deep.
Indiana has not had a man in scoring position since the 1st. Letson showing bunt, takes a strike. Bishop Letson is the backup catcher for the New Albany All-Stars. In this game, Ty Bryant has walked the leadoff hitter 3 times, but it has not stung him yet. The 1-1. Ball and 2 strikes. Letson hanging in there, and a ball and 2 strikes. The tying run is at first base. Nobody out. Top of the 5th.
Pitch a little bit up, but I like the fact 2 strikes. He's not going to let something get by him. Going to battle up there and able to foul that off to live for another pitch here.
The winner faces Illinois tomorrow. Good save by the catcher Graham Johnson on a pitch way out of the zone. Ty Bryant now at 66 pitches. And Letson doing a pretty nice job of hanging around at the plate. Again, the 2-2 pitch. Well, this is a big pitch coming up.
At that 68 pitch count now, you start getting up there a little bit, and he's missing high in the strike zone. Do you have some patience to lay off it?
3-2 pitch towards center field, base hit. Runners at first and second, nobody out, and Indiana has got it going in the 5th. First hit of the game for Indiana by the pinch hitter, Bishop Letson.
Fastball out over the plate. He delivers it out to right field. Now runners on first and second. And you mentioned Brian has been able to get away with leading the leadoff, walking the leadoff hitter a couple times in this game. And this is a situation here where it may come around to haunt him finally.
If they remove Ty Bryant, he can come back on 3 days rest as opposed to 4 if he continues to pitch. He'll be pretty much inactive the rest of the week. Minus an appearance toward the championship game if Kentucky's in that position.
Yep. Tough call right here, and they're going to make a change on the mound. And
so they're going to save him that extra day. Boy, what a great job he did on the mound, allowing just 1 hit. But he leaves with 2 on board, and nobody out in the 5th inning. Kentucky leading 1-0. We invite you to catch all the excitement of the Little League World Series, including scores, stats, highlights, and more. Visit LLBWS.org or follow along on social media with hashtag LLWS. Jim Barber, John Gregory got a good one here in Game 4 of the opening day. Joey Howard in relief for Kentucky, trying to get out of a big jam. Runners are at first and second for Indiana, and no one out. Caleb Miller is the pinch hitter, batting in the 8th position for Gavin Hamilton. Howard from the stretch, 1-1. Now the infield is surrounded in sunshine with a bit of the shadows by way of the base runners and the pitchers and infielders. 1-1, reaching out to bunt is Miller, 1-2. First time he has shown bunt in this at-bat. Caleb Miller got hot in the state championship run in 2016. Can he deliver here? 1 out. Nathan Julius is scheduled to hit, and the big pitch by Joe Howard on 1-2 to get the first out of the inning. And the first Kentucky strikeout dating back to actually the 2nd inning, where Howard or Bryant actually struck out 2 men in that inning. Here comes Brantley Whitlock, who, in the words of his manager Jason Toller, can hit the heck out of the ball.
Yes, sir.
So a great opportunity for Brantley Whitlock.
I just removed him. Yes, sir. SPR, Nate. Nathan here. Nathan here. Nathan Julius. SPR.
That's the skipper, Jason Toller, who's won state titles at ages 10 and 11, 12. Trying to get his team with the jump here. And a special pinch runner right now is Nathan Julius. Will not bat, but he will pinch run. Whitlock hits with runners at first and second with 1 out in the top of the 5th in a 6-inning game. And Kentucky Lexington Eastern leading 1-0 over Indiana New Albany. Howard stretches. Ball 1. Among the changes, Ty Bryant went from the mound to first base. Infield, which has already turned 1 double play. Double play depth now. Two balls, no strikes. Let's see if Whitlock is swinging on 2-0. 3-0. Casey Kalin, the leadoff hitter for Indiana, is in the on-deck circle. The bases are loaded.
Well, the situation you're looking for, your leadoff hitter, a contact guy at the plate, and nowhere to put him on the bag here. And this is Indiana's best opportunity today to try to either tie this thing up or take the lead.
Kalen has walked and hit into a shortstop to second base to first base double play. Tying run at third, go ahead run at second. Howard to the plate. Strike one. Looking ahead to the Kentucky fifth. 2, 3, and 4 hitters are scheduled. One and one. Philip Gill will bat after Casey Kalen if the inning continues. A ball and 2 strikes. What do you like from Howard on 1 and 2?
You got to go fastball again. I think you can't mess around. Pass ball will tie this game up, so you got to throw a strike here.
That he did, but it was fouled away.
You know, you throw the breaking ball, it goes in the dirt, gets by the catcher, and I just like your opportunity throwing the fastball to get maybe a ground ball back to you at the mound.
Tried to get Kalen to reach. Count is even 2 and 2. Big moment in the game with Kentucky leading 1-0. Toward first, they'll go home for 1. And they get the force out that prevents the tying run from scoring. Bases remain loaded on the fielder's choice. But now there are 2 outs for Indiana and Philip Gill.
Ty Bryant goes from the pitching mound over to first base, and he continues to field his position well, whether it's on the mound over at the bag, as he calmly makes the play and throws a strike to home plate.
Here's Philip Gill, who was 3 for 6 against the Wabash All-Stars in the championship state tournament game. Base hit could put Indiana ahead. Into the dirt, runner will not come home. Bishop Letson, who got the first hit of the game and the only hit for Indiana, was tempted, but wisely stayed back. He represents the tying run. A ball and a strike. And right now, Gill will have a conversation, or at least it looked like it'd be a conversation with manager Jason Toller. Nathan Julius re-enters the game. He'll run at second base. Letson, the tying run, is at third. Kalen at first. Towards center field. Indiana leaves them loaded. Good job by Joey Howard. It remains Kentucky 1, Indiana nothing, on to the bottom of the 5th. Landon Teasing, the only pitcher Indiana has used, could go the distance in this game. He's approaching 85 pitches. He has struck out 7 today and gave up the only run that has mattered, as Graham Johnson doubled in the second and came home on a Brady Robeson double in the same inning. Ty Bryant, Max DeGraff, and Harrison Tybee are set to hit here in the 5th. Bishop Letson is now the left fielder. Hamilton moves back to first base. and Ty Bryant is waiting to hit. Bryant is 1 for 2 with a leg-out double in the first. So starting pitcher John facing starting pitcher here. On the comebacker, past the pitcher, over to second, and safe. As Ty Bryant legs it out. Krebs got the throw over, not in time. Kentucky now with its 6th hit of the game. And amazingly has the leadoff hitter on for the first time today.
Well, when this ball got by teasing out on the mound, Krebs came up as quick as he could to try to make the play there on that soft grounder, but no chance to get Bryant as he hustles down that line.
Here's Max DeGroff hitting in the 3 spot, bounces toward third. Short throw to second for the force out. Bryant goes sliding in. It's handled well by second baseman Borden, or rather Krebs, and there's 1 out. So on the fielder's choice, Max DeGroff becomes the base runner right now.
Hard slide into second base. You could see the bat dislodged there. They do that for safety reasons, but it's like it got into the second baseman there.
Here's Harrison Tybe. Today a strikeout and a walk. And right now they're going to check on second baseman Krebs, make sure he is okay. Well, baseball has enforced some new rules regarding sliding. And some people have taken offense to it, saying it's taken some of the historical physicality out of the game. They say it's for safety purposes.
Again, safety purposes, and that right there was a good clean slide, went straight into the bag. I'm not sure it wasn't the bag that dislodged, that actually went into the ankle of Krebs at second.
Kentucky in this game has left 6 on base. If you're looking ahead to the Indiana 6th, it's the meat of the lineup, including dangerous hitters in Davis Krebs and Tommy Devine. And both today have been handcuffed. In fact, that middle of the lineup is 0 for 5 for Indiana. Ty batting in the cleanup spot with a man aboard. Down 2 strikes. 8 strikeouts now for Landon Teasing.
Still firing out on the mound. Fastball up, not able to get around on it that time. Got tied up with that fastball inside.
Joey Howard, who may get a chance to close this game out on the mound for Kentucky, batting here in the last of the 5th. Has hit once and grounded out to short back in the 2nd. Runner headed down to second base, no play. So DeGroff takes advantage, and he represents pretty big insurance run. If Howard comes through, pops one up, and out of play. This is how Landon Teasing will finish the game, either with Howard making it out or getting on base. Really doesn't matter. He gets the out and the strikeout. 9 for the game. The question is, will it be in vain?
Wow.
Indiana's big guns coming up with the last chance in the 6th. Kentucky 1, Indiana nothing. The Little League Grow the Game Grant Initiative has distributed over $2 million at the local level. Grant funding provides local Little Leagues resources for general improvement and to expand or establish softball challenger division and urban initiative programs. For more information, visit littleleague.org/grow the game. Here we go, top of the 6th. Indiana with the meat of its lineup coming up, needing a run to tie. And Borden down a strike. Joey Howard in relief of Ty Bryant. Trying to save it for him here. and get Kentucky to tomorrow's winners bracket. Howard will deal from the stretch. Winner of this game gets Illinois tomorrow, 1 o'clock Eastern. The loser on to game 4 of Tuesday's activity at 7. 2-1. Indiana had its best scoring opportunity in the 5th when it loaded the bases with 1 out, but failed to bring home a tying run. Borden is 0 for 2. Three balls and a strike. Three and 2. Good comeback pitch by Joey Howard. Top of the 6th. And out of play. Not by much, though. Seventh pitch of the at-bat. Howard versus Borden. Just got a piece of it. Now we go to pitch 8.
And a great battle here. Indiana just trying to find a way to get one guy on and put some pressure on this Kentucky defense, what has been stellar this afternoon.
And John, for the 4th time tonight, Indiana starts an inning with a walk.
And if you're Kentucky, you just can't afford that, because it's eventually going to come around and score. And they've been very fortunate in this game that Indiana hasn't been able to play to run after that leadoff walk.
Right now, Davis Krebs will confer with his manager, Jason Toller. And in the meantime, manager Gannan is motioning to right field to make a change, and likely will bring in Harris to try to close out the game. So Leighton Harris, the only 11-year-old on this team, enters the game. His nickname is Smooth.
Well, we got to be smooth. Try to get 3 outs in this game. Bringing a lefty gives you a little bit of a different look. Again, all these teams chance to go to the Little League World Series. It's the teams that are loaded with arms out there, 3, 4, even 5 guys that they can run out on the mound that can be effective.
Ty Bryant is now moving over to center field. As you take a look at the Kentucky defense in the outfield. In the meantime, Toller will keep his batter just to the right of him for as long as possible. Here's Davis Krebs, 0 for 1, hit by a pitch back in the 1st. Indiana void of all the long ball it had just days ago against Wabash. Strike 1. Certainly when you move on to a tougher level, you're not going to have the efficiency of knocking the ball out of the ballpark like you had in that most unusual game for the Indiana State Championship. But this team, Indiana, just 1 hit so far.
You run into those days. We've seen that teams coming in scoring a lot of runs at the state and then run into a good pitcher in game 1 of this thing and they're set them down. But games 2, 3, and 4 a little bit different. They start to put those runs back on the board. Can't be held down that long.
Double play ball to 3rd. Out at 2nd, over to 1st. Not in time. Little hesitation on the double play ball. Allows the tying run in Davis Krebs at first, but there is one out.
Well, Lexington continues to play great defense. That time it was Howard at third base, making sure he gets the first out. Gets a good throw to second base, and they're not able to get Krebs down the first base line, but they get that all-important first out of the inning.
By the way, the outfield that you saw assembled during the timeout moments ago consists of Robeson Bryant and Braxton Burse, who started at center field, now is at right. Tommy Devine. He's been stopped twice tonight after that incredible championship game where he went 5 for 6 and drove in 9. He'll settle for a hit here. But they are throwing some nasty off-speed stuff up there against him.
Yeah, it looks like they've decided they're going to throw him the breaking ball. He's a good fastball hitter. Wouldn't surprise me here if they try to stay with the breaking ball.
And on 3 pitches, he's gone. Kentucky 1 out away. Well, manager Jeff Gannon certainly paid attention to what Devine did in the Indiana State Championship game. And he has had very little of meat to hit tonight.
No, and if I'm telling you, if they didn't have a good scouting report on him, they saw how he reacted to that first breaking ball, and they decided to stay with it. Good decision out of that dugout.
Dylan Johnson will pinch hit. Last hope for Indiana with a tying run at first. Ball 1. Davis Krebs, who reached out a fielder's choice, is the tying run, but he's a long way from home. 1-1. One and 2. Now Kentucky fans will stand. And we'll let you at home enjoy. Game 1 goes to Kentucky. A 3-pitcher effort, allowing just 1 hit, turning a double play and some sparkling defense in the infield and in center field.
Boy, some great sportsmanship there as we take a look at the last out here. You want to get a guy out of the outfield, bring him in. The lefty throws curveball, 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 gets a strikeout, and then Harris is able to set down the last hitter again. And what a victory for this Kentucky team today. 1 run able to hold up throughout this thing, and for Indiana, great effort on the mound by Landon Teasing. Unfortunately, he had 9 Ks, 2 base on balls, and he suffers the loss on it, Jim. But a 1-0 game, and you said it at the beginning, we may get a 1-0 game out of this thing, and sure enough, we did.
And John, now Kentucky gets Illinois tomorrow at 1 o'clock Eastern, 12 o'clock Central. Indiana has the day off. We'll play in an elimination game on Tuesday. Terrific game to end the first day of activity in the Midwest and Great Lakes regions. For John Gregory, Jim Barber, thanks for joining us. See you tomorrow at 10 o'clock sharp here from Westfield, Indiana.